Shalom, my name is Gil Ilutowicz. I born in Israel. I'm owner of Compedia. It's a high-tech company in Israel which develop educational software, and we sell it in more than 40 countries, also here in Holland. My parents both born in Poland before the Holocaust. Both are Holocaust survivors. And it's very rare because both were children during the Holocaust, and during the Holocaust usually the children were perished first. My mother after the Holocaust was in a refugee camp, and she was separate from her parents, and because the shlichim from Israel, the messengers from Israel, it wasn't Israel back then, it was Palestine. They decided to take the children first to Israel to build a new country, and it was difficult to come to Israel at that time because the British was in Israel. So they took her to Marseille to the ship which we know known Exodus. She was 9 years old alone. And with that ship, she came to the shore of Israel. Everybody know about this story. And there was a fight with the ship. The ship was sank, and they were taken to another boat that took them back to Germany. And she spent more than 1 month on on that boat alone after the Exodus was sink. And they don't want to go to the shore. They say the only place we will go, or we will sink, or we will go to Israel. She was suffering a lot in that ship. She don't consider herself as a hero, because she said, I was a little child, I didn't fight, I suffer from the sea, she was sick. After that, she came back to Israel when immediately, a week or two after the state was established. And again, she came alone. Still her parents, at that time, her parents were in Poland. And she was alone for many years until her parents came to Israel. And I asked her if it was difficult for her to be alone as a child. She was 9 years without the parents. And she said to me that this was the best period in her life, because she was not looking for food. She wasn't suffer from hunger anymore. She wasn't persecuted. She lives in Israel with friends, she saw that we have even every month we saw a movie, we saw Tarzan, and it was happy lives, although she lives without the parents. For her it was the first time, because all her childhood she was persecuted, like animal. She was hidden, she didn't have a real life. Okay, it was without the parents, but it was life. First time in Israel, because she didn't know any other child any other childhood. When the war started, she was 3 years old. And all what she knows is only suffer, and suddenly there is a life. So even without the parents, she was very happy in Israel and built her life. My father was also Holocaust survivor, and it's a coincidence because he also was he was 16 in that time. He was taken by the shlichim to Marseille and they show him the Exodus to be on that ship. Well, but he refused. And I must tell the story that he didn't want to go on that ship. And I asked him why you refused. You can met my mother much before. And he said, I was tired. I was tired from the war. I was tired from all the things that happened to me during my childhood. and I couldn't fight anymore in that point of time. So the Shlichim arranged him a certificate of a British Jewish soldier who died in the war, and with that certificate he came to Israel in 1947 and built his life. He was a bus driver most of his life, and both my parents met in Tel Aviv, married, and they have 4 children and 12 grandchildren now, and built their life in Israel. The ship Exodus, the beginning of the journey was in Marseille, and I think there were more than 1,000 immigrants on this ship. All of them are Holocaust survivors with a dream to come to Israel. The captain of the ship was American, a young man. They took the ship to Israel, but the British troops discovered the ship near the coast of Israel, and they tried to actually stop the ship that it will not come to Israel. And then there was a fight starting. The people on the ship, the refugees, didn't have weapons. They fight with what they find. So it was a heroic war. Of course, they couldn't succeed in this war, because the British came with weapons and they sank the ship. Few were sank, few refugees, and they took all the people on the ship while it was going down to another 3 ships and sent them back to Germany. And the idea is to send them back to camps in Germany, which was terrible for the refugees because they came from camps in Germany. The idea to take these people back to camps was horrible. There was no connection between those 3 boats where the refugees were, the refugees from the Exodus, but there was the same decision in all the boats. No one will go down unless we will go to Israel, with no connection between those 3 boats. And they were staying on this boat more than a month. And there was a lot of journalists coming and people starting to talk about the situation. And that's what came to all the world, the idea that there are refugees, Jewish refugees, all of them are Holocaust survivors. They don't want to go to any other place but to Israel. And I must say that on the camps, on the refugee camps, after the war, there was a survey done by the UN, asking the Jewish people to write where they want to go. And all of them were written: first Israel, second choice, back to the gas chamber. We don't want to go any place but to Israel. What happened after that the world, because of the Exodus, came to the idea that the Jewish people need states of their own. And this was one of the triggers that convinced the UN to vote for a country for Israel. That's why the Exodus, it's so important in the history of the Jewish state. But I must say that the Exodus wasn't the only ship. There was a lots of ships with lots of refugees. Some of them came to Israel by night, some of them couldn't make it. But the Exodus became very famous and a symbol to this immigration.